But now turning to Adalberto Maluf. Hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. He's the president of the Brazilian Association of Electric Vehicles and director of marketing, sustainability and new business at BYD, which is Build Your Dreams in Brazil. He has vast experience in renewable energy, so now we're moving more into the private sector side and association side. He has experience in the automotive industries and climate change mitigation. He also has experience in urban development, corporate social responsibility, and working with non-profit organizations. And Alberto, turning to your current activities, we see that everywhere worldwide, the sales of electric vehicles are booming, they're growing. And although the Latin America and the Caribbean are still in the early days of this evolution or adoption, the number of privately owned electric vehicles across the region are gradually growing. And meanwhile, the regional transport sector is the largest source of energy-related emissions. So in your capacity as the president of the Brazilian Association of Electric Vehicles, what policy frameworks do you see that could promote and make it faster, the low-carbon transport sector, while at the same time creating quality jobs? And you have 5 minutes to answer this little question.
No problem. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of the private sector view on this. As you mentioned, Latin America is a place where public transportation plays a key role for economic, social, environment. Most of our countries still rely on public transportation. We have been losing passengers for many, many years, which brings deficit and lack of funding as one of the greatest priorities for governments in Brazil. At the same time, greenhouse gas emission comes from transportation. We need to reduce. We need to have new ways of funding and finding solutions. So we have good examples. We have here Chile, Colômbia, for example, two countries that have led the way in creating new economic models, separating the asset, the bus, from the operation, bringing big investors, a lot of European utilities to buy electric buses, create infrastructure, renewable energy, and renting the buses to the cities. So we have almost 3,000 buses running already in Latin America. Chile was the first one. Now Colombia having a good fight with Chile to see who has the biggest fleets. It's really good. And renewable energy is one of the leading sources of Latin America. We already have a clean energy matrix. Solar distributed generation, for example, was the #1 source of Brazil last year. We got back to the top 10 in solar. We have a lot of wind during the night, so we can power our buses almost for free, very cheap. We can generate green hydrogen in the northeast of Brazil, for example. We have huge projects to export to Germany. And we have seen, especially in the face of the trade agreement between Mercosur and European Union, that a lot of countries in Latin America, they are trying to put targets. You know, they approve targets, 2035 or 2050, and it's Chile, Colombia, Argentina, Uruguay. Unfortunately, Brazil is a little bit behind. We don't have a national policy for electric mobility. We don't have industrial policies. Even our environmental policies have been reduced dramatically in the last years. To have an idea, an electric car in Brazil pays more tax than a combustion engine car. An electric bicycle pays more tax than a normal bicycle, than a gun. It doesn't make sense. And especially after pandemic, where micromobility has been growing, the sales of electrical bikes and scooters is booming. Also in Brazil, we sold 35,000 hybrid and electric cars last year, which is good. It's a 77% increase. Trucks, Last year, we had more than 1,000% increase in Brazil. This year already sold more trucks than last year in the first 4 months. So green logistics, pushed by the private sector, e-commerce, beverage companies, it's moving, ESG agenda. We have a lot of things happening. But in my opinion, as we lack this national coordination between all the stakeholders, universities, private sector, local governments, we have a lot of initiatives, but they are a little bit disorganized. And we have not been able to fulfill the promises yet that we have. See the case of Brazil. Brazil used to be the 6th largest producer of cars in the world. We are still the 4th largest producer of buses and trucks. And out of all these 3,000 electric buses sold in Chile and Colombia, all of them come from China and not from Brazil, which historically sold the vehicles there. When I was born in 1982, industry of transformation represents 35% of Brazilian GDP. Now it's 9%. With no industry, there's no good jobs. Then we come back relying, as most of Latin America, in exporting commodities. And there's a lot of consequences on that regarding the ability for us to deliver the green industry we all want. But the good news is that there are a lot of things moving, a lot of stakeholders ready. We did a lot of pilot projects, a lot of planning, a lot of studies. IDB has made a big work for many years. The World Bank, the French Cooperation Agency, everybody's there, everybody's trying. So maybe very soon we're going to put together all the political guys to set up the priorities, set up the targets, and really try to move. Of course, for Brazil, we are thinking about the jobs, we're thinking about the greenhouse emission which comes from the city. But of course, the city also have an indirect impact on deforestation, for example. And the case of Brazil in the last 3 years, deforestation increased a lot. We are seeing now illegal mining under the Indian tribes. You know, like a British journalist was just missing 3 days ago there with a very famous Indian guy when they went there to record what's going on. So environmental policies as a whole in Brazil still need to be improved, the framework. But the good news is that the private sector is there trying to do what they can, and I'm pretty positive that it will continue to grow and expand as time comes.
Thank you very much. You made the strong case for good policy making. Your example on the taxation was striking, and also for the need for national coordination. What I found most interesting, though, personally most interesting, being from Iceland, that you said that the wind is only blowing at night. I think that is remarkable. I wish that would be an export commodity. I know a country that would be able to buy.